We're going to work on creating a parametric model for our Pear cam now. And so what a parametric model is it allows the model to be defined by variables, and so that we are able to change one variable and it ultimately will affect the entire design by just changing one dimension. And so to do this, I'm going to come down here to start my part studio. I'm going to go ahead and click to duplicate that part. I'm going to right click on the copy of it, and I'm going to rename this Parametric Pear cam. And then this is where we're going to work to create that parametric model. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to edit some of these dimensions. And so I'm going to go into Sketch 1 really quick. And notice how this gives us a diameter dimension here. We want this to really be a radius. And so I'm going to just click Delete Sketch Entity. And then I'm going to redimension it. And because now it's not a circle, it'll give us a radius dimension. And so same thing for up here on the diameter. I'm going to the check mark, I'm going to right click on it and say Delete Sketch Entity. And then I will redimension it so it shows the radius instead of the diameter. All right, once I have that done, we're going to define some variables for our design. And so to do that, I'm going to click the little variable button up here, and I'm going to type in the names of the variables. And so we're going to call the variables the dimensions that make up our Pear cam. And so I'm going to call this large radius. And it'll be really important that you don't include any spaces in your dimension for that. And for that, we are going to go ahead and make that large radius 1 1/4 inch, just like it is. So I'll give that a value, and you can see that coming over here. The next one we'll do the small radius. So again, I'll type in small radius, no spaces. Look at my sketch. The small radius is 1/4 inch, and so I will put that in as 1/4 inch. Next variable we'll put in is for height. Our height dimension on our Pear cam is 1 1/4. Check mark. A couple left. We'll create a variable for the hole diameter. And that hole diameter is 1/4 inch, so I'll go ahead and type that in. And the last one, thickness. We'll call it the thickness of our Pear cam, and again, that'll be 1/4 inch. All right. After we have that done, we're going to want to go ahead and move all of these variables up above Sketch 1. And so we want these variables to be the first thing in our design. And so I'm just clicking on them and I'm dragging them above Sketch 1. One thing I want you to notice, let's say you accidentally drag Extrusion 1 above Sketch 1. Notice that it does these things in order from top to bottom. And so it can't figure out what to extrude because it's trying to do that before it looks at the sketch. And so if that ever happens to you, that could be the problem. Go in and edit the sketches. Instead of using the dimension it gave us, we're going to use the variable. And so I'm going to double click on this sketch that represents the large radius, and I'm just going to start to type in large radius. And when I do that, I can then go ahead and click the green button, and I change that from an actual number dimension to read what it is getting from over here on our variable. All right, and so you want to do that for all of these. So I'll go ahead and small radius for the small radius. Again, I'll edit the sketch. This is going to be the height. This is going to be the hole diameter. And the last one we're going to do is going to be on the extrusion. So I'll click Edit on Extrusion. Under Depth, I'm going to go ahead and type in Thickness. What we've done is now we've used these variables to define our sketch instead of the numeric values that we put in for those. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to come up with some configuration values. So over here, I'm going to click on the configuration panel. I'm going to click the drop down menu and I'm going to select configuration variable. And so what these configuration variables are going to do, it's going to give our design parameters to work within. And so the first one, I'm going to type in a name. I'm just going to type in nominal diameter. Give that a default dimension of 2.5 inches, and I'll leave the minimum and maximum the same. And so what we've done now is we've created a configuration variable that we're going to use to drive the other dimensions in the design. All right. And so I'll go ahead and click the green check mark, and it adds that configuration here. I'll do another configuration variable, this time for the axle diameter, and we'll make that a default of 1/4 inch. Last configuration variable we'll include is the thickness, and again we will make that 1/4 inch. All of our variables configured. We're going to be able to establish variables that's going to create the mathematical expressions that are going to drive the size and location dimensions within our model. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead over here on the configurations menu, and I'm going to select to create a list. All right. And so these are the variables that are going to drive our design. I'm going to go ahead and click configure features. And when I do that, I'm going to come up. It's going to give me a prompt to select a sketch or a feature. I'm going to come over here to my variable and select a large radius. And when I do that, I'll click in the value. And notice that it gives large radius and it puts a value in for it right here. So I'll do the same thing. I'll click small radius and click on the value, and it adds it to my list. And so we'll do that for all of these variables that we've defined over in our features menu. And you can see that all of those have been added now. Add a row to our list input. And so under this, I'm just going to name this cam01. And now we're going to start to build in some expressions for each of these values. And so for cam1, I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go ahead and type in, start to type in nominal diameter. And we know that we figured that up here at 2.5. And so I'm going to use that dimension to derive cam1's dimension for the large radius. And so I'm going to say I want this to be the nominal diameter divided by 4. All right. Under small radius, I'm going to again choose nominal diameter. So I'll start to type that in. And this time I want that nominal diameter to be divided by, let's say, 4 again. Let's actually come over here and change the large radius nominal diameter, and let's make that one divided by 2. All right, so small radius divided by 4. The height dimension, I'm going to use the nominal diameter, and I'm going to divide that nominal diameter by 2. Hole diameter, I'm going to use the axle diameter now to define that, and so I'll go ahead and click on there, and I'll type in axle diameter, and I'm going to say I want that to be subtracted by 25 thousandths, so 0.025. And the last one, the thickness of our part, we are going to make that value equal to the thickness, and so the thickness will never change. It'll always stay at 0.25. All right. can look at what we've done by coming over here to our configurations panel. I'm just going to pull this down a little bit so I can see the list input, and I'm going to change it from default to cam. And so you can see how our model has changed based on these values that we've selected. And so these nominal values are driving the dimensions in our list over here. So when I go to cam 01, I see one mistake. You notice how the hole diameter is highlighted here? It can't regenerate that because it doesn't know the unit. So I'm going to go ahead and type in inches there for the subtraction problem on that unit, and then that should change that. So a few things that we want to do, if we come over here and we change the axle diameter value in our configurations to 0.15, we can see that it changes the hole diameter for that axle. All right. Another thing that we can do is we can come in here and edit this dimension. So let's say we want to edit the axle diameter and we want to make it minus 0.35 now. So we can do that right here, and it changes our model straight from that table. Another thing that we can do is if we look at the configuration panel again over here, like if we change the nominal diameter to 3 inches, notice how the model stays proportional, but gets larger. So again, it stays proportional, but gets larger. So that is one way that you can use parametric modeling to be able to figure out changing a dimension to scale an object to meet the needs. All right, we'll look at one more. If we come over here to thickness, let's see what happens. I change the thickness of my model here to 3/4 of an inch. Notice that none of the other dimensions are affected because thickness has its own value over here. All right, we're using thickness just to measure the thickness value. We're using nominal diameter for the large radius, small radius, and height value. And so that's why when I change the thickness, like if I change the thickness to 6 inches, it's going to be very large in the thickness, but not change the other dimensions. When I change nominal diameter, it's changing the large, small, and the height value. All right, so it scales proportionally. And so that's the benefit of parametric modeling.